Hey, what's going on folks? My name's Gray, you're watching Consoletronix, and today I will be looking back through the portfolio of one of my favourite publishers who specialised in bringing to the West some of the very best games that Japan had to offer in my Working Designs Video Games Showcase. I remember hearing a story in the early 90s of a small British developer applying for a license to develop games for the Sega Mega Drive and put aside a budget of around 20k for advertising before being hit with a bill of 4 million by Sega for the cost of cartridges, with Sega even setting the amount of copies they'd be allowed to put out. Needless to say, the deal fell through, but I mention this because Working Designs refused to be bullied by the likes of Sega or Nintendo and their extortionate cartridge fees, choosing instead to publish games on a much more affordable CD format. This is Lunar Silver Star Story on the Mega CD, one of the first titles that really made me sit up and take notice of the company. We skip forward a generation to the 32-bit era now, and without question Working Designs' busiest period, as they would play their part in the promotion of the JRPG genre to a wider Western audience. This is Albert Odyssey for the Sega Saturn, a franchise I read a lot about in the pages of Super Play. This third installment in the series is the only one to have been released outside Japan, and is also one of the most underrated RPGs on a system whose main strength was its role-playing game roster. And sticking with the Saturn, we come to Dragon Force. Although distributed by Sega themselves in PAL territories, it was Working Designs who put in the graft to get this one to Western shores. A magnificent tactical role-playing game that, had it been released on the PS1, would be put on a pedestal beside Final Fantasy Tactics as one of the finest in its genre. Now then, I won't lie to you folks, I've never been a big fan of the all-female manga circle Clamp, whose other credits include Cardcaptor Sakura, Angelic Lair and Chobits, but I don't know, something about the multimedia Magic Knight Rayearth appealed to me, and as at that time I couldn't play the Japanese-only Super Famicom games, I leapt at the chance to step into the school shoes of Hikaru, Umi and Fu in this Sega Saturn exclusive. Although published by Psygnosis here in the UK, Alundra on the PlayStation 1 was a game I went mad for when first released. And if I'm honest with you, I'm struggling to remember why. It's still a very good game with lots to see and do in a very Zelda-esque style. Working Designs were infamous for their liberal approach to translation, and early copies of this game were recalled by Sony because of a sexual innuendo that they managed to slip into the game. Despite having their knuckles wrapped by Sony over the Alundra kerfuffle, Working Designs were entrusted with the translation and publishing duties to Sony's first in-house developed RPG franchise, Ark the Lad. Although this event was quite late in the day, both for the PS1 and the fact that mainstream audiences for role-playing games was already on the wane. But in 2002, Working Designs would release the Ark the Lad collection. All three main games in the series so far, plus the addition of Ark Monster Game and Casino, retitled Ark Arena Monster Tournament, in a well-stocked special collector's edition, which, like a lot of Working Designs' best efforts, never got a European release. But I imported my copy from the States, and it still takes pride of place in my collection to this day. I've already touched upon the excellent Lunar series, but I had to mention the wonderful Arp the Lad style collector's sets of Lunar 1 and 2 for the PS1, because these were my first exposure to the franchise, which I loved so much I would track down copies of the earlier Mega CD / Sega CD originals, which still stand tall as two of the very best examples of how good this genre can be. In the mid-90s, an anime produced by Gainax and directed by the man who helmed the excellent Nadia, Secret of Blue Water, Hideaki Anno, would release the seminal work Neon Genesis Evangelion, a show whose impact reverberated through all facets of Japan's entertainment industry. Suddenly, every game being released had to feature giant robots, with titles like Xenogears and Zone of Enders openly influenced by Evangelion. But don't write Vanguard Bandits off just because they got caught up in the hype. As tactical RPGs go, this is one of the very best. Ask any old school Sega fan to name his favourite developer, and if he doesn't say Treasure, you have my express written consent to slap some sense into him, because those boys from Tokyo are responsible for some of the best ever titles to grace both the Mega Drive and the Saturn. But with the latter machine's time quickly running out, they would port the brilliant 2D platformer Silhouette Mirage to the PS1. And working designs were never a company to follow the lead of other Western publishers like Sheep and ignore all those 2D gems that Japan had in spades. Many would rank the original Saturn release as the superior version, but regardless of system, you just need to play it. Boom! We're gonna wrap things up here with another genre that working designs would be associated with at the same time as every other publisher was sticking their heads into the sand like ostriches despite the pleas of gamers. It's the shoot 'em up. And although in my ever so humble opinion the Saturn version is without doubt superior, that shouldn't stop you from checking this game out. It carries the traditions of Technosoft's previous games into the 32-bit arena and is a must-have title for any true blue shoot 'em up fan. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen, my look back at a publisher who stayed true to their core beliefs of bringing out the best games possible while never allowing any corporate entity to bend them over a barrel with inflated cartridge production costs. And while the working design story ended far too early for many fans, of which I included myself, their legacy will last forever in the hearts of gamers who played their games when first released, or in the future where many of you come to rediscover the working designs library. So my name's Gray, this has been Consoletronix. I hope you enjoyed my reminiscing. If you did, then please share, leave a comment and subscribe. So thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.